Sit back and relax. We've got a great topic for you today. How you doing, everybody? I'm Jack Rapella from the Cycledrag YouTube channel. Pleased to be here at one of my favorite locations, the Throttlestop, the Mecca, the place that houses all the cool motorcycles. And here is the man with the plan, Mr. Jim Balistreri. So great to see you.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about Bimota. I know something that you know very well, and thanks for giving me a little history lesson on this great company that started with just 3 friends way back in the 70s. If you could, please tell me the story of this great manufacturer.
Well, first of all, thanks for being here, Jack.
Thanks for having me.
We did love having you here. Yeah, Bimota. So really where we're at is I've just become infatuated with this company, and you know, I don't know how these things happen in life, but you just like get attracted to certain marks and certain brands, and then others you just don't. And so this is one of those I think a really unique story, Bimota, and for a number of reasons. But the first reason is you got enthusiasts behind this company, okay? The second is you got people with good judgment because they decided right out of the box that they weren't going to build engines. Number 3, they took weight off of what every engine was supposed to push. They took weight off. So a 420-pound bike now became 360 pounds. So you don't have to modify the motor to increase the performance, okay? 4, they took the chassis to the nth degree and put all the best parts on them, on these chassis. So you have the reliability of the engine, but you have the balls out nature of the best components on the chassis with less weight. It's just like it, and it's so, when you look back at it and you look back at other motorcycle startups, you go, it's such a good formula. All right. And so then I started to see these around, and there's 2 basic versions of all Bimota bikes. And there's the Tessie version, which this is the way I see it. Okay. The purists might not agree with this, but the Tessie version is the front suspensions are forkless.
Amazing.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's not that that's not been done before. FN did it, Yamaha's done it, BMW tried to do it, at least the prototypes. So there's a fork in the road where there's super elaborate suspension, more traditional suspension. The more traditional suspension, you don't give up much, but the price point's much better. So it allows more people to experience the bike, okay? So the 3 we have here are traditional suspension bikes. And so they're all on that path. The thing about Bimota is, so Bimota are basically the initials of the 3 people that started the company. And then the codes on the Bimotos are like, this is a KB4. So the K represents the power plant. Wow. So if it's a K, it's a Kawasaki. If it's a Y, it's a Yamaha. If it's an H, it's a Honda. If it's a D, it's a Ducati. If it's an S, it's a Suzuki. You know? So like, you can, by looking at the label of the bike, you can see the power plant, you can see the manufacturer, and you can see the version of that that's out. This is the 4th version of the Kawasaki Bimota. And so it's real easy to like categorize these bikes. So older, probably the most popular.
95.
Yeah, to current state.
2023.
All right? So I will open up with current state is Kawasaki now purchased 49% of Bimota.
Wow.
Okay, about 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. And so I suspect everything we see from now on is going to have a K on it, or else that K is going to be eliminated because it's not going to be necessary.
Sure.
Okay, we'll see.
Sure.
But this bike here, for instance, when Brady, our good friend, and I were walking around at an auction, there were a number of Bimotos there, including the Tessie versions with the suspensions and not, which I really did want to get. But I don't know, to me, the quality of the bike just wasn't what I wanted. It just didn't do it for me. But this one did, okay? And so, traditional bike. And this would be like, there was a, without going into it, kind of financial ups and downs of a motorcycle company. This was right around the time when the financial stuff was getting kind of rough. Not that it was ever really good until Kawasaki, you know, with their deep pockets, of course, and technology. But so this bike was just a work of art. And I believe this is 1100 cc, if I am not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes. It's 1100 5-valve Yamaha. That's a badass motor. Okay. So here's the model. You take an 1100 cc 5-valve Yamaha. You don't screw with the motor. You take weight off it. You put the best components on that you can find. You shorten the wheelbase. And you have yourself a badass bike. And so that's the brand. That's what they do. And it's going to always run the Yamaha motor. And with the best components, you have a really unique bike. 4, because I explained the 2 paths with the Tessie and the traditional suspension pieces. This has traditional suspension pieces on it, lower cost. And so they built varied amounts of all these different models. Some of them as low as 2, 3, 4, 5. Some of them as high as like this model. I think they were into like 1,000+ units for this model. So it's a little tough for them because if you go through all this work and you build, let's say, what, 100 units, which I think this probably was, and this was a $27,000 bike back in '92, you know, not cheap. You got to find the right buyer, but it's got to be, I can imagine it was a little tough for them to figure out, well, what is our demand going to be? And how is that going to work with pricing? So it's almost like there wasn't enough market information to really know whether this was going to be a success or not. But in a way, that wasn't the point, because these people were such enthusiasts that they wanted to do what they wanted to do. And the market is either going to catch on or not. And then they were going to go to their next bike. And so they were going to go through the same thing. And so then at the end of the day, the significance of this bike is its condition. So, you know, I like stuff as nice as I can get it.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. And this is a heck of a triumvirate right here. So let me just cut to the chase and ask my pressing question. I can tell you love this proud Italian manufacturer. You ever going to part with any of these? Are these ones keepers forever?
They kind of are keepers forever because, first of all, you can get these bikes. So you don't need this one. Okay? And I do get emotionally attached to the bikes. And if I go through the work of doing it, it's just hard to part with it unless I have to part with it for something else that I'm going to replace. You know, we have so many slots here. And if I do sell something, I have a slot to fill. So, but these slots are right here.
Yeah.
And you know, if that bike goes somewhere, I'm going to have to replace it with something. And now what? Well, it's going to have to be a Bimoto.
And what is so cool is that they are still being produced today. Would you rather have a classic one, or would you rather have a brand new state-of-the-art one?
You know, that's a really good question. The classic ones are classic. And so if that's your gig, great. But you're not going to ride it. You want to ride it? Buy that.
Yeah, get the new one, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you have everything you need on that bike.
That's right.
So it's a matter of what you want. And I like both. I would ultimately like to have an H, which would be the Honda, you know, one of every letter, if I could. But I'm not that hot on doing that as much as I am the condition of the bike and what the bike represents. So if I get the right model and it's the fork in the road, the different suspension, the Tessie, I believe it's pronounced, which is the design of the suspension, or more traditional, I don't really care. I just want really good examples.
Well, you have three outstanding, and we always talk about how the 70s may have been the most transformative decade for motorcycles. The fact that these debuted in 73, same year as the Z1 and all the other changes that we saw, is just another rich chapter in the history of motorcycling. So very, very cool. I got a feeling next time I come in here, I might see a few more. So
you will, hopefully.
Good luck auction hunting. As we wrap this up here, is there anything else you would like to say about this great manufacturer?
Well, you know, the fact that they kept moving on from bike to bike to bike, engine to engine to engine, this was the most they ever made of any one particular model. So I think the styling and what I've been through before, just the mechanical parts of what they do, they didn't skimp on executing their vision. That would be, I guess, the thing that I would say.
Well said, my friend. Jim, thank you for the history lesson. I really appreciate it. And remember, guys, you can get down here to the Throttle Stop in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and see these bikes in person. And the way Jim's talking, I got a funny feeling you might see a few more Bimotas real soon. Leave your thoughts down below. Thanks a lot for watching. We got a lot more coming here from the Throttle Stop.